Once upon a time, not so long ago, there were some people who were ambassadors for Arts Connect, a project that promotes inclusive activities and connection for people with learning disabilities. Some of the ambassadors were involved in a participatory research project on resilience with a PhD student from the University of Brighton. Then, young people in Blackpool got involved too, through a large-scale research project, which included young people with learning disabilities. Their achievements showed how important it is that people with learning disabilities are included when funders make decisions about money for research. So, the ambassadors, young people from High Furlong School in Blackpool, and another co-researcher from the Resilience Revolution all had chats themselves and asked a load of people they knew, practitioners, PhD researchers, and a professor, to see what they thought. So, let's start at the beginning. Is it really that important to include people with learning disabilities in research?
Research for people with learning disabilities is very important. There's just, not the right help going around at the moment, because I don't think we're being heard enough.
Everyone should have a fair say.
It would be good to ask us about things we should like to change in the community to make it better for us.
It is better to ask people with learning disabilities for their opinions because they are the ones who know what works best for them.
People with learning disabilities know what it's like.
They can help make better changes for other people in the future.
People could read about my disability in a book, but wouldn't fully understand it because they haven't experienced it.
You can tell them about the disability, but they won't understand because they don't have that disability.
It's really important that people with learning disabilities are involved in research. It's really easy to find common ground with people. It's more difficult to understand the difference, and that's where the value of lived experience lies. Nothing replaces that. There is no shortcut.
And actually, this is linked to the idea of intersectionality. There are so many ways that we define ourselves and other people define us, like ethnicity or gender identity, and some groups are known to face more challenges than others. We can face multiple health conditions, mental health issues, insecure housing, and so on. And the thing is that all these disadvantages, they stack up against you. And this is all the more reason why research needs to be inclusive. So we can really understand people's experiences and how they relate to their specific social contexts and, our multiple identities.
It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to go about. But, you just got to try and go about it the right way. People with learning disabilities do have different needs from other people, and that needs to be recognised. Those challenges need to be recognised.
It may take somebody a while to understand the question, so they might need more time. Some people I know use communication tools and apps, so it can take a while to answer a question.
I think from a social justice point of view, it is absolutely imperative that research councils and other funders make funding available to maximise the inclusion of all relevant populations in research. Throughout my academic career, I've been really upset by articles that I've read where you just see that huge swathes of population have been left out. Try the test for yourself. Have a look at a few articles that have been large population studies of things, and you'll see so many times that people have had to fill in some really complex form online that people with learning disabilities may not have been able to do. And there's no talk in the article of how they've included people with learning disabilities. And frankly, I think it's really bad science, and also it's very unfair.
Hi there, ambassadors. So, you did a participatory research project where you all worked together in a group. Sounds like fun. Why did you all think it was good to do your research together like that instead of doing an interview or a questionnaire?
I think it was nice to gather everybody's ideas in the group that we had. It was just one of those things where we all get connected, and I think that's the real thing here. So, yeah, I think it's a really good thing to do, and it gave me a lot of confidence. It really gave me a huge ability
It's all about having fun when you have time to be chill as well and look after one another. I did always say if we're not a family with a group.
Maybe others need a bit more time to think about what they're going to say. Otherwise, they might panic and get into a terrible state. And we don't want that. We can all say good things despite our learning difficulties. It makes me feel that we've done something very worthwhile.
We did lots of brainstorming, coming up with ideas, presentations. They're quite good fun. Obviously, the first one I ever did was really nervous, but now just go for it. Just feel more confident in doing things, being able to talk about certain subjects and be able to communicate with people.
I was a bit nervous at first, but it's quite exciting. I'd be thinking about what people said, and I'd be thinking, yeah, actually, they're with me or I'm with them. I think it helped me because I wasn't the only one who thought like that. We've got different opinions, but basically, we're all on the same level and we've got something to say.
We talked a lot in our group about how everyone wanted to get their voices heard, and doing the research in a participatory way gave us a really good way of doing that. You especially liked that aspect of being involved in research, Dominic, didn't you?
It's just a great atmosphere, you know. You get to say what you feel, you know. If you don't like something, you speak your mind. It's all about speaking your mind, really, basically, isn't it? And it's got to be heard.
And what do you think about that, Lindsay?
I am a parent of Harry, who has Down syndrome. Harry, for example, is an excellent communicator, but can find it quite difficult to grasp complicated concepts. And if he's asked one or two things within the same sentence, it's often quite difficult for him to pick up on both of them, and therefore he may pick up on neither of them. So I think it's important to get to know the individuals before you can actually gain any meaningful information from them.
Adam and his fellow co-researchers in Blackpool have done some work on this as well.
We worked together with academics to produce a guide to co-producing research with young people, and we asked people who had been involved in research, was it ethical, and also, is there any way you would improve how it was done? We've found that if you're looking to get a good piece of research, offer refreshments, offer a bit of time to have a bit of banter and just chill. Don't make it all formal. That piece of research isn't going anywhere. And this is the same for people with learning disabilities as well. Well, for anyone in the community, really.
There's no doubt that in looking to reach out and engage people properly, there is effort involved. You know, it takes time, it takes space, sometimes physical space as much as headspace. We've got to be creative and find other ways to really properly engage with people at their best. But I've seen how that genuinely changes the quality of the conversation. The traditional methods of surveys and questionnaires and interviews have their value, but sometimes they're not the best way of getting the quality kind of learning that we're looking for in research.
It's interesting that you say that, Julia, because I think doing research this way has taught me to be a better researcher, whoever I'm working with.
One of the things I've learned is that what's good practice for someone with a learning disability is also helpful to lots of other people. There's lots of people who have challenges around reading, around social anxiety. They may not have a learning disability, but by us listening to people with learning disabilities, we're actually improving access for everyone.
Okay, so basically, you're all saying that research with people with learning disabilities is really important, and also finding ways to make it fun and really meaningful is important too. But research councils need to have the right systems in place to make sure that people with learning disabilities can be involved in research properly. I wonder what they could do to help make this happen.
Well, it seems to me that a main issue is about funding, isn't it? Ideally, research councils would have some kind of equalities impact assessment. to make sure that inclusion of people with learning disabilities is encouraged.
It's so important for funders to collate information about the numbers of grants that they've awarded where the subject matter is concerned with people with learning disabilities, and also to really scrutinise those and to see to what extent they are inclusive of people with learning disabilities.
And another thing is, including people with learning disabilities might take more time. And the reality is that more time means more cost.
What would be really important would be for researchers to be able to apply for additional funds across all research councils so that you take a systems approach to this in relation to the inclusion of people with additional needs as co-researchers and or participants.
Another issue that came up in my PhD research was sustainability. Because the ambassadors had formed such a close group, they didn't want it to end.
The responsibility for sustaining impact mostly falls on the voluntary sector. That's a lot to ask, and it would be great if there was recognition of that, and that what's left when the research is over is those community-based organisations for the participants to say, what next? What are you doing that I can be part of? Researchers involved in that process would be fantastic, you know, and supporting it financially, because otherwise the impact will be lost.
Okay, so I feel like you've taught me a lot. It's important to include people with learning disabilities in research. They have different needs and they know what their specific needs are. Participatory research is especially useful because it allows for more time and space for people to express their views. The system needs to change to accommodate these needs better. It sounds to me like this is a call to action. What do you think you can do to help make this change happen?